What can I say? Sometimes you just have to make an outfit to match your hat. Hello and welcome back to Lately Fashionable. I am Chelsea Souter and blue is my favorite color. And this particular shade of cobalt blue is one of my favorite shades of blue. So when I saw this hat at Trashy Diva in New Orleans, my husband actually pointed it out to me and he said, "You need a beret." And I said, "Yes, I do. And it needs to be that blue one." They had several colors available and this obviously was my favorite. Yeah, I just had to have it. Even though I didn't actually have anything to wear it with. I mean, that's not entirely true. I obviously already had this dress, which does go nicely with the hat, but I don't have anything cobalt blue, at least not anything vintage. I do have some modern pieces that are this color, but I am still in my year of dressing vintage, and I want to wear vintage blue. And I have fabric that matches this hat. I just haven't done anything with it yet. So, that is about to change. Here is said fabric. Almost a perfect match. This is the pattern I originally bought around the same time as the fabric. I don't remember which I bought first. Might have been at the same time. Obviously, this was very inspired by Agent Carter, which is a show I was a little bit obsessed with in 2015, 2016. And I fully intended to make that dress. But, first of all, I never got around to it. And then, Wearing History came out with this beautiful skirt pattern, and I decided that this one, with the buttons, would actually be the perfect thing to make from my blue fabric. So I bought the pattern, and I've had it for a few years now. I don't actually remember. It came out in 2021, so I've probably had it for 4 years. And once again, I haven't gotten around to making it yet, and I think now is the time. I am really excited. I even bought buttons for it when I bought the pattern so that I could make it right away. And I just never did. I don't know why. Probably because I had a newborn and we moved that year and there was a lot going on. I was also very focused on making my historical costumes for various events and not focused on making clothes that I want to wear in my everyday life. Obviously that focus has now shifted the other way, and I have been much happier since I've been making clothes for my daily wear. And then also, I have this fabric, which is not the exact same shade of blue, but very close, and I recently unearthed this when I was looking for something else. I don't remember how long I've had it, probably around 10 years, and I'm pretty sure it is a synthetic fabric, probably polyester. It might have some nylon content. Might be all nylon, I'm not sure. But it's really pretty, it has a nice sheen to it, and I think I'm going to make a blouse. And if I hate wearing it, I hate wearing it, but I'm going to take a chance. And I think I'm going to make this blouse as a mock-up for another blouse that I want to make that I want to be sure I have enough fabric for, but I don't have a pattern. So I'm going to be making it up as I go along. It's this blouse that Rebecca wears in Ted Lasso, and I love everything about her wardrobe. I want everything that she wears. She is so stylish and just, fashion goals. Anyway, but this particular blouse popped onto the screen and I was immediately smitten and knew I had to make it. And I was already planning on making a long sleeve blouse out of this gorgeous flowy drapey yellow fabric, and I think this would be perfect for that blouse, which is yellow. I love yellow. But like I said, I have very limited fabric. This is in fact one of the petticoats that I bought at the Colonial Williamsburg costume sale I went to a couple years ago. So I have essentially 2 yards, which is probably enough, but probably not enough to make any mistakes. Now this fabric, I actually only have like 1.5 yards, but it is 60 wide, so it's probably enough. And I think I will care less if I get the exact blouse I'm looking for out of this fabric. which is why I'm going to do the mock-up from this. And then once I've perfected the pattern and figured out what I'm doing, I will cut out the yellow one. So basically, this hat has inspired 3 different garments. I will probably only make 2 in this video. Maybe only 1. We will see. I always start very ambitious, and I'm usually humbled along the way, so I frequently end up not making all of the things I had initially planned, at least not in the original video. But I'm talking too much, and I should really get started sewing. Okay, so I messed up because I wasn't paying attention, didn't read, or didn't understand what I was reading. I was supposed to cut 4 of this piece, and I only cut 2. I think I read this as interfacing, but no, it's self-facing. So you want 2 of your outer fabric and then 2 more to face it. And I have barely enough fabric to just cover the bottom buttonhole. So my facing is not going to be as long as the outer part, but that's going to be, just going to live with it. Well, I can also piece that. That'll be fine. And this piece is upside down, but I was supposed to cut it on the fold, and I didn't. And the only place I can fit it on the fabric I have left, because it won't fit here, is if I do it on the bias. But I think that'll be okay because it is going to have interfacing. I did cut the interfacing pieces. I didn't cut that on the fold either, but oh well. So I think these mistakes are recoverable, and I will still be able to make my skirt. I'm just adjusting in real time. Okay, I have successfully pieced the facing pieces. And I might do something about this, or I might just turn that edge in and stitch it on the inside, because who cares? Now, I always try to do the seam finishing on my pieces as I sew the seams, or beforehand if I'm going to do something like overlocking or serging. And on this one I am going to serge the seams, but I do not have to serge all of them, because the center front and top edge of the front, and then the side front seam, and really all the way around the back waistband pieces are going to be either encased fully or turned in and stitched, it looks like by hand. So the only seams I actually need to serge are going to be the side back and the actual back seam, and then the pockets. Also, I have already decided I am not going to do bound buttonholes because this fabric is a polyester, like gabardine, and I have worked with this before, and I know from experience that it is too springy and doesn't like to hold a crease well, and for bound buttonholes you need a fabric that holds a crease well. And that's a lot of bound buttonholes that I am not interested in fighting with. Okay, I have prepared the pockets. I serged the seam edges that will get inserted into the side seams and the top edge of this one because this one didn't need it. It has the selvage edge. And then I sewed them together along the outside curve, and now I'm going to go ahead and serge all the way around. Okay, it's been a minute since I've worked on this skirt. In the meantime, I have been sick. You can probably hear in my voice. I have been distracted by other projects, as usual. And I've also been working on cleaning up my sewing studio 10 minutes at a time. I have a whole series of shorts on YouTube that you can check out. Also on TikTok if you want to follow me there. But getting back to this skirt, I did hang it up to let the bias edges grow as needed. That was in the instructions, and since I wasn't going to be working on it for a couple days, I figured I might as well do that. So it is now time to trim away the excess seam allowance on the top and then turn the facing to the inside. And I think I'm just going to top stitch a 1/4 inch away from the top edge, just like I top stitched on here, mostly to keep the seam allowance pressed upwards where it's supposed to be. This polyester gabardine that I'm working with doesn't really like to hold a crease, so I'm giving it just a little bit of extra help with the top stitching. And I think it looks nice. So once I've done that, I just need to hem it and do the buttons and buttonholes, and probably hand stitch the inner edge of the facing all the way around. So here we go. Okay, here's the skirt. It's fitting very nicely. Now I'm going to go see if I can talk my husband into marking the hem for me. I have one of these cool hem marking doodads. Actually, I have two, and I love having them. My mom bought them for me at an antique store years ago, and they're great, but the frustrating thing about these is that I never get to use them myself because I'm always having somebody else mark the hem for me. I say always. I haven't used them very much, but they're just cool. Let me show you how it works real quick on a scrap. So this bit is adjustable, slides up and down. So you set it where you want your hem to be marked off of the floor, and then you just stand, let your fabric sit in between, put that closed and then put a pin through that little trough, I guess, and then it's pinned, and it's so fun and cool. I love it. Okay, success. Got the pins in. My husband used the gadget very efficiently, and now I can turn up the hem at those pins, press it, trim away the excess, and sew the hem. Well, hello. I am in my pajamas at noon. Yes, I did drop off my kids for school in my pajamas because I am not dressed yet for the day because I want to wear this skirt today and it still needs buttons and buttonholes. It is otherwise done, so we're gonna sew some buttonholes in my pajamas. Come along. I'm going to mark the buttonholes in an interesting way. I drew the seam allowance on this pattern piece, and then I pinned my skirt to the pattern piece right along that seam line so that I know how far in the buttonholes are going to be. And now I'm going to turn this over and pin through the actual buttonhole markings, and then use my little chalk to draw over the pins, and then I'll have the markings on the right side of the fabric so I can go ahead and sew the buttonholes by machine. Did that make sense? I hope that made sense. And yes, I finished my skirt and I wore it today. Hooray! So I'm a little embarrassed, but I finished the skirt and I have worn it a bunch of times, even though I made it the wrong size. Here's what I mean. So when it's all buttoned up, it looks fine, really, and like I said, I've worn it a bunch of times already, but you can probably tell that the center line of the buttons is not centered between the two sides. And you can really tell when I unbutton it, because look how far over I had to put the buttons in order to make it fit me around the waist. They should be like right here. This is what comes of not making a mock-up. I should have at least done the yoke pieces and fit them to myself to be sure I was cutting the right size, but I didn't do that. So now I'm living with the consequences. I think it should be an easy enough fix. I just need to unpick the hand stitching on the inside, unpick the top stitching, and then take in the side seams both in the yoke part and down into the skirt itself. I think I can just taper it to the top of the pocket and do it that way. But first, I'm going to move all the buttons over and then try it on to figure out how much I need to take in those side seams. I think I will be much happier with this skirt when I have done that. It doesn't really bother me when I wear it, but I would like it to fit better than it does. So, still have some work to do. Okay, I, off camera, moved all of the buttons over, so now they are nicely centered. As you can see, it looks like it's supposed to. Very happy with it. I also tried it on, again off camera, and pinned how much I needed to take in on either side, and then I thread marked those pins so that I could undo the top stitching along the top edge and the whip stitching along the lower edge on the inside. And now I just need to take in the seams, sew it back up, and redo the top stitching. The skirt is finally done. I can finally say that, even though it's technically been wearable for a couple of months now. It now fits me much better. It feels much more comfortable. It looks more symmetrical. I'm very happy with the finished product. And I can't wait to show you the results. And of course, I'm wearing the hat that inspired it all. I had so much fun with this project. It was truly a labor of love, and I'm glad I took the extra time to redo the part that I was not happy with, just the waistband. So it now fits better, it looks better, and it feels really good. I am possibly even more in love with this color blue than I was before I made this skirt, so expect to be seeing a lot of it in my wardrobe. I now have even more plans for blue garments than I did at the beginning of this video. Obviously, I did not get to the blue blouse yet, much less the yellow blouse. That's going to be a separate video, which is fine. But I did find on the Wearing History website this blouse, which is so close to the blouse Rebecca wears that I'm just going to buy that pattern and make that blouse. I'm not going to bother with trying to draft my own. That seems really risky, so I don't want to do that. And there's no need to, because the perfect pattern already exists. I don't have to make it up. But yeah, I have a skirt that I'm extremely happy with, and I'm going to wear it all the time. I already have worn it a bunch, and now I like it even more in its altered state. Altered to fit me better. Once again, it is the Leslie skirt pattern from Wearing History. If you want to get your own, I will link it in the description. I can highly recommend this pattern, and all Wearing History patterns, really. I have worked with them many times before, and I have always had good results. They are very thoughtfully made and well designed. I also have a bit of news. If you saw my 6-year retrospective video, where I stated that I had a goal of reaching the monetization threshold before the end of the year. I made that goal. I got to the 4,000 watch hours I needed on December 30th. So I was one day shy of the end of the year, but we got there. And I want to thank you, my wonderful subscribers, my beautiful community, for helping me achieve this goal. And I got the email as of this morning, January 12th, I have been accepted into the YouTube Partner Program. We did it! I'm really excited. This has been a goal of mine for a couple of years now, and I finally made it. So now when you see ads on my videos, I will get a couple of cents instead of nothing. So I'm looking forward to growing more from here. As always, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to give me a like, and if you want to see more, definitely subscribe. That always helps. Also, comments and shares go a long way towards pushing my videos out, making sure that the algorithm knows that this is content people like, and will prioritize it higher in the YouTube feed. I promise I'm not going to talk about this at the end of every video. Just this once, because I'm very excited. But that's all I have for now, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye! There's a bug on it. And I have already blah blah blah. Alright, now I'm dizzy.